So what you want to do first when you're going to do the melon swan is to pick a good side of the melon and try to avoid places that are bruised or that have scarred areas. You want the front to be really nice. So I'm going to pick this to be the front. Then I'm going to lay the melon back slightly. So off its axis, it gets laid back slightly, and then I hold the knife parallel to the cutting board and start a slice that's going to go parallel through the melon. Once I get the slice started, I can go ahead and bring my knife up, and I know I have a nice flat spot on which the swan is going to sit. Okay? The next thing that you're going to do, if you were doing this for the first time, is to sketch your swan on a piece of paper first, or on the whiteboard, over and over until you get a good-looking swan. Then you can transfer that by using a dry erase marker onto the melon, and then you can sketch the swan onto the melon. Most important thing about the swan is that have a nice, easy, smooth curves and a beautiful, elegant look to it. I've done a lot of these, so I'm not going to do my sketching. I'm just going to go ahead and start carving. But my carving is initially going to be only about 1/16 of an inch deep. So that's how much I choke up on the knife. My knife blade is only going to go in about 1/16 of an inch deep. I'm going to start at the bill, and I kind of marked where the bill is going to be with my thumb. So I know that the bill is going to be right in this area. I'm going to start a shallow curve, more of an exaggerated curve for the head, and then back down to the flat spot so I can see where that curve is going to go. Bring it all the way around until I get to the wing. So on the bottom part of the bill, a slight angle. Bill gets a little thicker as it gets closer to the head. There's a shallower portion, or a shallower curve on the bottom part of the neck. It curves around and gets thicker and thicker, and then right here, what happens is you need to swell the breast line out so that the two wings are going to be in the same place on the side of the melon. So as I bring that carving up, that's the edge of one of the wings. That's the top of the other wing. We carve in all of the, what they call the wingtip feathers. And they all angle toward a certain section, and then a kind of a bigger curve for the secondary feathers. We'll do the same thing on this side. And then when we put the melon back down on this flat spot, we mark the tail so that it's right in the center, and then we carve this in. Okay, so now it's been etched in only about 1/16 of an inch deep. It's really solid and firm. This would be the same I would do if I was making a basket. I would first etch it on there, very solid and firm, and then I would do all the decoration on the basket before I cut the handle loose. If you cut the handle loose first and then you start to decorate the basket, it's going to break. In this case, I'm going to put all of the decoration into the swan that I need. So I'm going to put the eye in here, just a couple straight cuts, and then an angle cut, and it pops out, and that's going to be the eye. And then I'm going to put some little marks in the neck area here, kind of representing feathers. Then for the wing tips, they all focus in at the same point. So you're going to see each one of these lines is going to come into the same point of the wing. And that's a straight down cut. Then I cut a bevel cut. And the bevel cut just meets the straight down cut. And what we can take out is a little bit of the outside rind exposing the dark green on the inside. This is an angle cut. I do two of these. They're S-shaped curves. And then I cross them. So I come right across them with a couple more S-shaped curves. And that shows the smaller or secondary feathers of the wing. Kind of gives the illusion. The tail feather, great big one. Two smaller ones. And then a shallow kind of a bias cut that helps to show those feathers, and it actually creates two more feathers. Okay, and then we back over to this wing. The S-shaped curves, and then come across them. Okay, so now all the detail is done. So the only thing that remains is to cut it out. Make sure you don't cut off the neck or the wing while you're cutting it out. But what's going to aid you in doing this is that first initial cut actually cut through the toughest part of the rind, and so everything else is going to want to follow that cut. So it's just simply twisting your knife is going to open up that little slice that you put in there, and your knife's going to be able to follow it. Notice that I'm rotating the melon underneath the knife, and I'm keeping the knife going straight up and down. That way I know that I'm cutting toward the center of the melon at all times, and I'm not going to be winking any of those wings by cutting behind it accidentally. You want to keep the flesh as intact as possible. That's what's going to hold this melon carving together when it's all done. Okay, so now the outline has been fully cut out, and all I need to do is to take out the different sections of the melon. So I'm going to cut it into a couple different pieces. That's going to aid in being able to remove the various sections. Once again, carefully, you're going to go in and take the seeds out. And I'm just going to run this quick over to the sink and rinse out some of these seeds. Okay, then you can add a little bit more to it. It's a pretty, kind of almost two-dimensional because the way it's cut through. So what I'm going to do is to cut a little bit behind the bill to make kind of a narrower bill, a wider head, a narrower neck. And just cutting that little bit of the flesh away is going to give the swan a little bit more realistic look to it. Trim the tip of the wings so that they're narrow, and then this kind of shows the bones in the wing, or gives you a representation of bones in the wing. Like that. And then in between the tail feathers, you're going to cut a little V cut that kind of shows off the tail. Okay, and that's the finished swan.